Hey guys, this is Bobby T, and welcome to the second ever episode of Race Review. Today we're talking about the two most opposite racing series that you've ever seen on the planet, NASCAR and Formula One. They raced Saturday night and this morning, which means they were the only two that I was basically able to check out, but nonetheless I will be talking about them here today. NASCAR Cup Series was on the Daytona Oval, which was a crazy race, obviously, as it always is on super speedways, and Formula One was at, pretty much, I'm sure most of you can agree, our favorite circuit, or one of our favorite F1 circuits, Spa-Francorchamps, or just Spa if you're a normal person. And yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about today, so let's get right into it. So, on to our first subject, NASCAR at Daytona. I said that oval races were boring and I wasn't a fan of them. Well, I lied. Super speedways are absolutely bonkers. NASCAR Cup Series was coming in to Daytona as the final race of the regular season. Kevin Harvick has already won the regular season championship, but all the drivers are heading into the playoffs. But that isn't necessarily true, as you all know if you watch NASCAR. If you don't, then learn. 16 drivers will make it into the playoffs and basically have a chance at winning the championship. The other 17 and down are just considered worthless cars going in circles, as the other cars go in circles around them. Doesn't matter if they win races, whatever they do. Playoff drivers are the only important ones, and the media goes and forgets about all the other drivers. But in reality, this is a very intense scenario. Everyone coming into Daytona for the Coke Zero 400, which is already a major race in itself, winning at Daytona, and the bump drafting and super speedway plate racing, pack racing, whatever you want to call it, is already going to be chaotic. But now you add a bunch of guys who are trying to make it in. Jimmy Johnson, 7-time world champion, most notably, along with William Byron, his teammate in the 24. They were kind of like on the bubble fighting to be in, I guess. And then Matt DiBenedetto in the number 21 Wood Brothers car. They were all fighting to get in to the playoffs so that they would continue their championship hunt in the season. And so stakes are high already. There's people just above the bubble, like Clint Bowyer and some of them, who are just trying to survive and stay in and just be sure that they're good. So you're going to have a lot of chaos. But surprisingly, for the first 2/3 of the race, it was really calm. There was a lot of single file racing, some double file, kind of everyone trying to get the bottom line to work, but the top remaining the most common line. And yeah, there were no incidents. We had competition caution at stage 20. We had stage 1 at lap 50, Joey Logano. And stage 2 at whatever lap that was, I don't know, 100, I think it was lap 100. Joey Logano wins the stage again. But then some guys start getting antsy. We have the bubble, and it's going back and forth between Jimmy Johnson and William Byron and Matt DiBenedetto, and then Eric Jones could technically get in if he won on the playoff bubble. And remember, Jimmy Johnson got disqualified at Charlotte, and then also missed a race due to COVID at Indianapolis. So that happened, and that's why he's in this tough scenario. But yeah, getting down towards the final laps, we started seeing a lot of guys making some pretty crazy moves. It was pretty bizarre how they didn't wreck for so long at lots of different parts. But eventually, Tyler Reddick in the number 8 came up to try and block Kyle Busch in the number 18, and he didn't clear him quite exactly. So Kyle Busch checked up, and I think it was Eric Jones or somebody got turned around, had to check up, and spun into the wall, and then everyone all behind, just chaos breaks loose, and everyone crashes. And that was big one number uno. So lots of people involved in that wreck. Not Jimmy Johnson, I believe. He skated through. Yeah, Jimmy Johnson, William Byron, and Matt DiBenedetto, all those three right on the bubble, made it through, and they were all neck and neck, which was pretty awesome to see. They red flagged the race briefly to get everything cleaned up, and then it was something like, I don't know, 9, 8, 7 to go. I'm not looking at any notes for this. I'm just thinking right off my head. I'll put like a little time card thingy down here, how long it was, or not. I'm probably too lazy to. But right around 9, 8, 7 to go, they went green. I think it might have been 5 to go. And yeah, there was 2 wide, 3 wide race, and everyone was making some pretty crazy moves. Jimmy Johnson had ended up shuffled to the back earlier because of he went down to the bottom and no one went with him. So he ends up moving back. If you don't know, in the restrictor plate racing, basically the whole key to everything is the draft. That's why you end up with so many people in these tight packs. Yeah, basically he went down to the bottom and there was no one there to draft with him, or no one in the front who came down with him, so he ended up falling back a lot. But he was trying to make some moves forward, and then we had so many near crashes where there were cars sideways up in the top groove, and some other cars that were making contact and stuff. So yeah, with 2 to go, Bubba Wallace was getting a good push, and Denny Hamlin was up there as well. Joey Logano kind of got sandwiched as Bubba Wallace got pushed around the outside. He kind of touched the wall and then tapped Logano, and then Logano eventually, they nearly crashed like 3 times. Eventually he spun around, hit the wall, and then everyone gets torn up behind him. And unfortunately, Jimmy Johnson is involved in that wreck. So he gets knocked out of the playoff championship. They tried very desperately to get his car in good shape to go out there. It was a very valiant effort. One more thing, William Byron did get a little bit of damage with the hit with Joey Logano, but pretty much his car was unscathed. So then they came to the restart, and we had Denny Hamlin, William Byron, and Matt DiBenedetto. William Byron and DiBenedetto are both on the cut line at this point. So yeah, they're basically just trying to survive to the end. Wreck is bound to happen because they're all going to be making crazy moves. Christopher Bell ends up pushing William Byron for a little bit down the backstretch. Christopher Bell, obviously one of the guys that has to win to race his way into the playoffs. Everyone makes it to the last lap, so there would not be a caution. Basically, as long as there wasn't a wreck that endangered any of the drivers, they would keep it green, which is exactly what happened. At first, Clint Bowyer slams into the wall, but everything was fine there. He's out of harm's way because it's past the finish line, way down in turn 1 and 2. Then there's another wreck on the backstretch with Corey LaJoie and a couple other cars that were involved in there. They end up crashing all along the backstretch, so it's only the front pack heading to the checkers with William Byron and Martin Truex Jr. and a couple other cars up there. So then after that wreck, you have the small pack that remains coming up to the finish line with Martin Truex Jr., William Byron, Chase Elliott, and a lot of them. Basically, it's anyone's win at this point. It just depends on who gets the best push and who doesn't get collected in another wreck. So at this point, William Byron gets a good push from Chase Elliott, and they are able to carry themselves all the way to the checkered flag. William Byron wins the Coke Zero 400. That is his first ever win in the NASCAR Cup Series, and he also makes the playoffs. And feel-good story, Matt DiBenedetto with the Wood Brothers also just barely makes it into the playoffs as well. Unfortunately, Jimmy Johnson does not make it into the playoffs with too much damage. He was not up in the front pack. He may have gotten involved in that other incident. I really didn't see what happened. But nonetheless, 7-time champion will not get a chance to win his 8th championship, but still an incredible career he's had. I haven't watched all of it, obviously. Well, he started winning before I was really able to speak or use my vision to watch a television in the first place. But it is really cool what he's done with his career, and he's definitely going to be considered one of the greats in NASCAR, I assume. So then, the results for the Coke Zero 400 was the number 24 car, William Byron, in first place, Chase Elliott in the number 9 in second place, Denny Hamlin in the number 11 Toyota in third place, Martin Truex Jr. in the number 19 Toyota in fourth place, and Bubba Wallace in the number 43 in fifth place. So, for the NASCAR race's final score, that was an awesome race. I really enjoyed watching that. It was a really fun race. I thoroughly actually enjoyed watching that oval race. The restrictor plate races are always pretty awesome. So, for its final score, I will give it an 8.5 out of 10. Nice race, NASCAR. So now, on to Formula 1 at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, which should have been an incredible race, but Ferrari, what is going on? Their poor engine performance is just abysmal. It is literally terrible, and it really shows at Spa just because of how much straight line speed you need going up the hill. And then in the third sector, sectors 1 and 3, obviously sector 2 is very much an aerodynamic efficiency key part of the track, but sections 1 and 3, sector 1 and 3 are just brutal if you have a poor engine like Ferrari right now. So obviously our only hope once again was Max Verstappen and Red Bull to try and beat the Mercedes, but they were dominant. Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas both got good getaways, and Lewis just soars to the end. I mean, I'm pretty sure those Mercedes are just fan cars at this point. They look so glued to the ground, it's crazy. But yeah, I mean, we can't flaw Lewis Hamilton's race. It was a perfect race. He drove incredibly, as he always does, which makes me appreciate him more and more every day, just how much of an incredible driver he is, even though he's in, obviously, the overpowered Mercedes. But nonetheless, Verstappen tried hard. He still ran a pretty decent race. There was a little bit of tire wear issues towards the end that the Mercedes may have been having some issues, but generally there were just a few blisters on the tire, nothing too severe. Daniel Ricciardo puts in an incredible result for Renault. What a awesome result for him in P4, Esteban Ocon in P5, Alex Albon in P6. He did run a better race than usual today. I will give that to him. And I mean, I think he is really a decent driver. He's just struggling with the pressure of Max Verstappen. So we'll see how it goes. I really want him to do so well. I want Alex Albon to do so well, so badly. But hopefully that day will come one day. 7th place was Lando Norris. 8th place was Pierre Gasly. He really put together a great performance in that AlphaTauri. He's been looking really racy recently. He does have some sort of hunger that he's trying to fulfill. 9th place was Lance Stroll in the Racing Point. Racing Point did not have a great day today. And 10th place was Sergio Perez, also in Racing Point. Poor Ferrari down in 13th and 14th with Sebastian Vettel and Charles Leclerc. That's got to be their worst result where they legit finished in a long time. Just brutal for them. And you saw Carlos Sainz watching them in the garage earlier, just shaking his head, just knowing what he's gonna go have to deal with next year. I'm sure he honestly wishes he could stay with McLaren, but I'm sure Ferrari, you know, probably doesn't pay that badly. But nonetheless, I digress. The midfield battle was pretty sweet today. We had some good battles, but you know, like usual, it was a pretty boring race up front. It was Spa, so obviously it was beautiful. The terrain, the elevation, the cars going around it are incredible these days, but it just wasn't that good of a race. It was pretty boring. I kind of expected it. If Lewis Hamilton and Bottas and the Mercedes, if they got away well, you know, they were gonna pull away, but unfortunately they did, and yeah, that's what we got. Moving on to Monza next week is not going to be any better for Ferrari. In fact, it's probably going to be a lot worse, being the Temple of Speed. But if Renault can pull off an incredible performance like that with their engine, I think they're in good shape going into Monza. So we did have 3 DNFs in this race. We had Carlos Sainz, who didn't even take the start, unfortunately, due to car issues. George Russell and Antonio Giovinazzi in the Alfa Romeo and the Williams. They sadly had an incident. So they did not finish the race. Hey, smooth editing check. I forgot to do the final score, so I'll probably give this race a 4 out of 10, and that's just being generous. It was a pretty boring race, but it's Formula 1, and it's at Spa, so that's cool. Yay. So, I think that's it for this episode of Race Review. I have not watched IndyCar this weekend, haven't been really too interested in just, you know, 1 mile oval stuff, but feel free to check that out yourself. It's a free country, free world, kind of, so go do that. Yeah, without further ado, thanks for watching. I don't know when my next video will be. Hopefully I'm gonna try and get a video out this Friday, but school kind of, you know, doesn't exactly help with the whole video thing, but we'll see how it goes. Stay positive and live on. Peace.